Okay, so like I said, we're gonna pretty much or quite literally just build off of that last script, but you'll see now it doesn't have that uniform height. There is this kind of area where it's again a high point, but then it starts to taper off from there in either direction. And that's all kind of building off of this point that you can basically move around that curve and have it kind of correspond to it. So regardless of where you have it, it'll all just kind of build off of that. And this is what that profile starts to look like. So again, there's the actual um, profile of the um, curve or the mound, and then there's how it starts to taper off. So um, that's what this video is going to start to show how to do. And so we're really just kind of adding this part plus this multiplier over here now to that. So let's go ahead and jump to this one that we were initially working on, right? So this way you can see exactly how to do that. So the first thing we want to do is find a point on that curve. So we're going to go to curve, do point on curve. And again, it just defaults to the center. And then now you can just move it to wherever you want that to be. So we're going to use that same thing of kind of this point um, and the distance between our grid of points. So we'll do curve, or sorry, vector, closest point again. So here's well, that goes in, and now our grid of points goes into here. And so we'll, again, remap those values. So go to math, minimum and maximum, remap. And again, we'll create another graph mapper. And here, again, we kind of want to do a very similar one where, again, the closer it is to this point, it will be the high point in this case. You'll see that you can, again, kind of flip it to have something different. And then this can start to dictate how you want it to taper off. So you can start to almost immediately taper off this way, or you can have it kind of subtly do it by sending that, but that's how that will start to work. So once you get that figured out, we'll basically use this as our new input. And then we'll multiply this value. So again, we're kind of controlling the total heights, but then we're multiplying it using this to get our new height. So now you'll see that right now, because I've got it so kind of um, limited, it has this kind of shape to it. But if I want to, again, kind of have that kind of extending out a little bit more and then taper, you'll see that even the points that are furthest, whether it's on this side or that side, it still kind of has a blunt kind of end to it. So what you can do, just like how in this previous one, we can cap those distances. So maybe instead of it going all the way to 1, we'll do something like 0.8 for now. And that'll help kind of have it blend nicely at the ends. And obviously you can continue to adjust it and use the same number slider to adjust how high you want that to be. So if it's really kind of steep in that area, if you want it to be kind of a wider high point, right, you can have it more like that and then have it drop off a little bit more abruptly. Again, so this is kind of, we have this that dictates what that mound might look like in terms of its overall profile, right? We can kind of see it again like this, and then you can start to see how it recedes back into the existing topography. So again, you can kind of have it nice and subtle that way where it's slowly kind of descending into it. Same thing if you want, you can even have it going in the negative direction to do the same exact thing, right? So it's almost uh, slowly starts to build into that grade. Um, or let's go back to the positive. Like I was saying, you can even do the opposite. Maybe you want this to actually be the low point of your mound. In order to do that, you can just simply switch these two and have it like that. So that's another kind of interesting way if you want this area where it's kind of like a passage through this mound. It creates something pretty interesting that way. And again, it's pretty simple in terms of just having this slider kind of dictate where you want that cut to be. And something I didn't get to in the last video, but it's always good to kind of start to see what this looks like in terms of topographical data. So let's also, it does add some lag to the processings, but it's still simple enough to not have to worry too much about it. But let's go ahead and make some contours for it. So I'm gonna create just a basic point. You don't usually have to do this, but I am. And then I'm gonna use a 0.5 feet or 6 inches for my contours. And so now you can start to see what that would look like in terms of topography lines. Again, you can adjust it again. Like I said, it does add a little more lag to it. If you want it to again be the opposite, create some interesting things too, right? So maybe it does return, but there are some low points as it gets further away. So you can really have a lot of fun in terms of how you start to create these undulations in between high points, end points, and everything in between. So let's just kind of get it back to having a nice soft top and then having it end. So you can see that the contours basically end uh, pretty close towards um, the end of those center lines. And there you go. So pretty cool way to start to taper off your earth mounds. So it's um, looks a little bit more natural. And again, this all works if you want to use multiple curves or build off of it. Um, so again, a really easy and nice way to continue to refine and develop this earth mound.